This is the Mealtime Magic and Mayhem podcast. I'm Tricia Clark, your host, cooking coach, and kitchen mentor. We're here to talk about all things food, wine, travel, cocktails, and mealtime memories. So many memories are made around the table. We all know mealtime can be stressful, full of chaos and mayhem, but it's also the universal connector, a catalyst for communication and connection, and a time to create magic and memories. So many of our memories are tied to food, and I can't wait to share some of those stories with you here. I'm here to share ideas, inspiration, and stories to help you experience mealtime with a dash of magic and just a sprinkle of mayhem. You can expect new episodes weekly, including a mixture of interviews, personal stories, and some fun conversations about our adventures and misadventures in the kitchen and around the table. I hope you walk away feeling inspired to try something new in your kitchen or around your table to create more connection with your friends, family, and beyond. Thanks for being here. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Mealtime Magic and Mayhem. I'm your host, Tricia Clark, your cooking coach and mealtime mentor. I cannot believe that summer is almost over and it is back to school season. Again, the time goes by so fast. And while my kids are grown, I do have a son in college and he is home for the summer, and it brings its own disruption of routines, right? The kids come home from school for the summer. We have to change our routines, and it's time to go back to school, and yet we have to change them again. And it's sort of a love-hate relationship, I find, with the back to school season. It's nice to get back into the groove that's been thrown off, but it's also so hard, right? Well, today I'm going to share one of my favorite ways to reduce the stress of back to school when it comes to dinner time. This is one of my magical secrets, and they're not really all that secret, but they're great to have around for those oh shit nights. You know, the ones where you forgot to thaw the meat for dinner tonight, or hell, maybe you even forgot to meal plan altogether, or maybe your schedule just got thrown off and you're unprepared and you're in that moment of panic or decision fatigue. So as the school bells chime, we're waiting for this infernal heat to dissipate we've had this year. We're waiting for the leaves to begin their beautiful autumn dance, and we're so all too familiar with the whirlwind of activity that accompanies the back to school season. You've got the frenzy of rushed mornings, intricate schedules, and the yearning for a restored routine. And all of this, I know, can leave us a tad overwhelmed, and I know that it does for me. So in this episode, we're going to unlock the beautiful magic of freezer meals, which can really be your ultimate superpower for conquering chaos and rediscovering the joy of shared family meals. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a deep breath with me, hold it, and sigh it out. And now I want you to imagine, if you will, and if you're into the woo and visualizations, I want you to spend a little time with this after the podcast. But I want you to imagine in your mind's eye, picking the kids up from school, feeling really confident that you know what you're having for dinner. You feel like you've got it together. Finally, maybe you've got control of one more thing in your life. And you imagine picking them up from school. You're proud of yourself for feeling like you'd have all together. You've got mouthwatering dishes at your fingertips when you get home, prepared with a bit of planning and a bit of love, because they can taste it in your food. Now, I want you to think about that. You put dinner in the oven and you go help your kids with your homework, and then you guys all meet at the dinner table. Think about it for a minute. Think about how that feels in your body. Does it feel a little bit lighter? Does it feel a little bit calmer? Does your heart open up just a little bit more? Now, I want you to consider, how is that different from your normal routine? Because that shift in energy is really what we're going for here, and a little hint of what working with me looks like. So whether you're a busy parent, a dedicated professional, you're cooking for two, you're single, or someone simply seeking simplicity, freezer meals are all just about to become your kitchen best friend, your companion to get through the crazy times of back to school. So we're going to dig into not only how these meals save you precious time, but how they also help you guard your sanity, elevate your budget, even in the midst of life's hustle and all the expenses of back to school. So we're going to be blending some insights from James Clear's Atomic Habits and Kendra Adachi's The Lazy Genius Kitchen. These are some of my favorite books to help me build habits, and they really put things in a different way. And if you're more of a DIY person, these books are awesome. So these really help you build a foolproof recipe for habit building. And so as we start going down the realm of freezer meals, we're also going to talk about some of my favorite resources, such as the Thriving Home blog with Polly and Rachel, fedandfit.com. These are true mavens of meal planning and easy freezer meals, and whose wisdom can really help you along your path. And they're where I get a lot of my recipes. I'm not a master recipe creator. I'm not a food blogger in that way. And so I rely on the experts, and I really want to send you to those places that have made my life easier. And you can see if those resources help you as well. So don your aprons and keep your favorite pen at the ready. And I want you to take some notes, because I'm about to give you a sprinkle of inspiration into your kitchen and launch you on a journey to stress-free mealtime mastery. So we're going to start rekindling those routines that forge our cherished memories, cultivate bonds, and really bring us the peace that we're looking for. So welcome to Freezer Meals. Are you ready? So as we venture into the back-to-school season, I really want to explore how we can simplify our lives, make mealtime stress-free, and create those cherished memories around the table. So in this segment of the episode, we're going to delve into the challenges of the back-to-school rush and discover how freezer meals can really play a pivotal role in streamlining your routine. Now, I know the word streamlining sounds really formal and official, but it's really just about finding and systemizing things to make your life easier. We've already talked about the back-to-school transition. It's really notorious for its whirlwind of activities, early mornings, school drop-offs, extracurriculars, sports, homework. And amidst that chaos, meal planning quite often takes a back seat, leaving us overwhelmed. We're struggling with decision fatigue. We're resorting to last-minute solutions that aren't always the healthiest or most enjoyable. And while there's a place for takeout and convenience food and fast food, this is where efficiency can really become our ally. So I'm going to be drawing some inspiration from Atomic Habits, which I mentioned, and the practical wisdom of the Lazy Genius Kitchen, where we can create habits that really align with the lifestyle that we want. We're going to start integrating small changes into our daily routines so that we can seamlessly adapt to that back-to-school rhythm. So if you haven't read Atomic Habits, it teaches us that building tiny, consistent habits and the concept of habit stacking can lead to remarkable transformations. And similarly, the Lazy Genius Kitchen really encourages us to simplify our cooking process and be really intentional about our choices, embracing the season of life that we're in. But they both really talk about starting small with one change. And I'm here to propose to you that meal planning is that one small change that can make the biggest impact, and freezer meals can be a large part of that meal planning process. So let's start making deliberate choices that save time and reduce stress. I want you to think about what's important to you. What can I do right now to make life better? What do you want to prioritize, organize, and what can you systemize? Now, all of this can be done DIY, and there are resources like the Lazy Genius Kitchen, the food blogs that we talked about. But if you're looking for more done with you support, I encourage you to book a 30-minute Dish with Trish call, and let's really chat about where you need support. You'll walk away with some personalized strategies. And if working with me is not your jam, I'll point you in the right direction of some resources that could help you with your specific challenges. So enter freezer meals. This is the secret weapon. With a well-stocked freezer, you are armed with convenient, ready-to-cook options that can turn even the busiest evenings into enjoyable, really moments for connection, enjoyable family moments, where the conversation is richer, where there's laughter, and you won't feel like you're just throwing food on the table at the end of the day and just trying to get through one more chore on your list. We're going to start talking a little bit about what that day can look like when you have those freezer meals on hand. So this is really where some creativity, some ingenuity, and practicality really intertwine. If you've ever found yourself yearning for like a really easy, simple, yet effective solution for dinner, freezer meals might be your new best friend. This is one of those things that I encourage you to experiment with and find out if it works for you. A busy day often leaves you with little time to whip up a full-fledged dinner from scratch. But having freezer meals on hand, you've got those delicious meals prepared right at your fingertips, ready to thaw, ready to cook, ready to heat, ready to serve. And you're doing it all ahead of time, which really is kind of what saves you time. So let me share a little story with you that kind of showcases where this has really appeared in my life. A couple of years ago, I really discovered freezer meals. And amidst the hustle and bustle of whether it's back to school chaos or a busy time at work chaos, I found myself craving a moment of calm and amidst the storm. And I love to cook. And so the idea that I wasn't energized to cook or meal plan anymore was alarming for me. And so I spent 2 hours and put together 10 freezer meals in that time and stocked my freezer full of homemade goodness. And throughout the next month, what I found is on those nights when I was feeling really frantic and had decision fatigue and just didn't have the energy, I could easily pull out this flavorful lasagna that was prepared with love on a lazy weekend and really savoring the aroma of that as it baked in the oven. Well, I went about my day and did other things like picking up the house, helping kids with homework, all of those things. And then when we sat down with each bite shared around the table, I saw a sense of peace. And I heard connection and laughter at my table. And the conversations really did get deeper with a lot of the table topics that you've heard me talk about. And the deep sense of accomplishment I felt from that was amazing. And so I started hosting freezer meal workshops for others through Pampered Chef and really saw the sense of confidence and relief and stress relief that it brought others. That simple act of planning ahead had transformed an otherwise chaotic evening into a nourishing and a cherished experience, not only for me, but for the women who were at the freezer meal workshop. So as you embark on your own quest for efficiency and connection, remember there is an ability to turn ordinary moments into extraordinary memories. The freezer can really become your ally. And we're going to talk through how to get started. What do you need? And how do we start building those habits? So let's really jump into that a little bit. So here's what you need to get started to creating delicious freezer meals. So first and foremost, you need to decide what type of freezer meals you'd like to prepare. There's two main categories. There's dump meals where you just put everything in a Ziploc bag. They require minimal to no cooking before freezing. And then there's recipes that involve a little more cooking up front. They tend to take a bit more time. They're equally rewarding. It's all about the planning piece of it. And it's the foods that you prefer and the foods that your family loves, right? That is going to help determine that. So as you gather your recipes, you want to consider the essential equipment and make sure that you have things on hand like freezer safe containers. I'll put a link below to some of my favorite glass ones on Amazon. There's gallon and quart-sized freezer bags that are great for freezer meals. You can get those aluminum foil pans with the lid and put that lasagna together and stack it in the freezer. And all of these things make it so much easier. You can also find these nifty little stands that hold up your freezer bags that make filling them up a breeze. And I'll put all of these links below. And yes, if you decide to buy them, I am an affiliate and I might get a small percentage of that purchase. But I'm really here to tell you that these are the things that will make your life easier. You try them out and pick and choose which ones work for you. But before you dive into assembling your freezer meals, it really is wise to plan ahead and create that comprehensive grocery list. Now, the reason why I want you to do this ahead of time and plan those meals is it's going to save you money if you buy in bulk and you're preparing a lot of meals with, let's say, ground beef. Buy it in bulk, save yourself some money. But then the other thing I recommend is really embracing meal delivery or grocery delivery, because if you have it delivered the day that you're going to prepare your freezer meals, you're saving precious space in your pantry and your fridge. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten my grocery delivery days ahead and I had no place to put everything in order to prepare those meals. And I had to shift my schedule a little bit. Now, this planning doesn't take a lot of time. It just takes a little bit of forethought. Now, don't forget to ensure that you have enough space in your freezer to accommodate your assembled meals. If you are feeling like setting a big ambitious goal of 20 freezer meals, you need space for 20 freezer meals in your freezer. So if your freezer is as full as mine, you might start with 5. You could start with 10. And those aluminum foil tins really stack nicely in the freezer. But the gallon Ziploc bags, if you lay them flat, also stack nicely. And you can fit 10 freezer meals on one shelf easily. Some of these steps might sound obvious, but they're so easy to overlook when you're caught up in the excitement of freezer meal planning and really just ready to get the work done. Organization is key. And then keeping your recipes and day of cooking instructions handy is a game changer. My biggest recommendation there is to have a dedicated folder for those recipes, or have labels that you put directly on the freezer bags or on your foil trays, whatever you're using, with what the recipe is and the date that you froze it and the cooking instructions. This will save you so much time on the day of. Now, I want to give you some really fun freezer meal ideas. These are super easy. You hardly need a recipe. And there are a few creative options to consider and some ways that you can really mix them up. Now, if you are more of the creative cook, I think these are going to be perfect for you. If you're looking for repeatable recipes that somebody else is going to provide you in a meal plan, Polly and Rachel at thrivinghomeblog.com, you can sign up for their email list, and they send out free menus every week. And then they have these great packages of recipes, instructions, all the things you need to put together those freezer meals in one day. So let's talk about easy lasagna layers. These are where you can create layers of brown ground beef. Maybe it's Italian sausage. Maybe it's spinach. If you're vegetarian, then add the vegetables in there. Maybe it's mushrooms. This is where you can play with the flavors that you love. But you will create layers of your protein or vegetables, layer in fresh or dried ravioli, the filling of your choice, cheese, and your favorite marinara sauce. Now, you're probably going to need 2 jars of marinara sauce for 1 package of ravioli. And the cheeses and the amount of cheese, now that's totally up to you. But what this does is it really removes all the labor of boiling the noodles, mixing the ricotta. This just simplifies everything. You're going to layer those in a dish however you like, but don't bake it. You're going to instead wrap it up tightly or use a disposable aluminum pan, and you can freeze that for up to 6 months. And when you're ready to cook it, simply thaw it for 24 to 48 hours and bake it for about an hour. My next favorite one is salsa chicken wraps. This is super easy for those nights. This could either be a freezer meal or a great meal for a night that you forgot to thaw the chicken. You're going to place a pound of chicken breast, a jar of salsa, and a can of drained and rinsed black beans. You can dump all of that in your Instapot, or you can dump all of that in your gallon freezer bag, lay it flat, put the instructions on it, and put it in the freezer. You do not have to thaw this before you cook it. I run it under warm water for a few minutes just to get it to release from the bag, and I put it right in the Instapot, and I set it to chicken, and you've got dinner in 20 or 30 minutes. Another great option is burgers. If burgers are on your regular menu, buy that beef in bulk, make your turkey burgers in bulk, whatever it is, but make them in individual patties, separate them in maybe one of those aluminum containers between parchment paper. And then whenever you want to cook burgers, just take out the desired number and you can toss those bad boys in your air fryer for 15 to 17 minutes. You can season them ahead of time, all wrapped up in those burgers when you make them, or you can decide if you want to change the flavor and season them when you put them in the air fryer. There's so many ways you can use these freezer meals. It doesn't always have to be this baked dish in these hours of cooking ahead of time. In fact, I prefer the ones where I don't have to cook them ahead of time because I can put more together in one afternoon and have them ready whenever I want. Now, the last one I'm going to mention is cook once, eat 3 times. This is a strategy that can be used as a freezer meal, or it can just be used for a meal plan for a week. But this involves cooking a large batch of one main ingredient and then using it in 3 different ways throughout the week. It really minimizes prep time, but it also prevents mealtime boredom. So, for example, you might want to make a large batch of meatballs, and one night you can eat them with spaghetti, and you can have spaghetti and meatballs with marinara. Another night you could put them in an Italian wedding soup that takes 15 minutes. Another night, you could stick them in a refrigerated pizza crust with some pesto sauce and have pesto meatball calzones. Again, it's all about just having the main ingredient ready and then repeating it in different ways. So if you're going to take anything away from this particular section of the podcast, it's that preparation is key, and having a variety of those options on hand can really be a game changer. I've curated a list of my favorite freezer meal resources, including the thrivinghomeblog.com and fedandfit.com in the show notes. These are trusted resources. They offer a wealth of delicious recipes and helpful tips to inspire your freezer meal journey. But if you're interested in a more personal touch, maybe you want to dive deeper into mastering freezer meals, I offer personalized freezer workshop sessions. Reach out. I'd be thrilled to guide you through the process. And alternatively, if you're seeking more comprehensive guidance, to conquering the mealtime chaos and really help with more meal planning than this, my Conquer the Mealtime Chaos program is tailored to do just that. So following these steps and utilizing these resources, you will be well on your way to mastering the art of freezer meals and bringing a touch of magic to your mealtime routine. Now, let's talk about the power of combinations. Remember that you can mix and match your proteins, vegetables, and seasonings to create an array of delicious meals. For instance, if you've prepared a batch of seasoned grilled chicken, you can pair it with steamed broccoli and quinoa for a well-rounded dinner. Flexibility is your best friend here. And you can even combine the magic of, let's say, a sheet pan meal with a freezer meal. Put all the ingredients in your Ziploc bag, throw them on a sheet pan, and cook it all at one time. There are ways that you can combine your favorite cooking methods to create different layers of flavor by using different seasonings, different marinades, et cetera, et cetera. And so we're nearing the end of today's journey in the world of freezer meals. I would love to answer any questions that you have. You can reach out to me via email anytime at the links in the show notes. And I really hope that this helps you revitalize the routines of back to school. I know it feels like there's a whirlwind. And as you reestablish these routines and embrace the rhythm of the school year, find what works for you. Find what type of cooking is really your ally. And I hope you'll take a minute to take an afternoon or a couple of hours to try freezer meals and see how that works for you. So let's recap and take some action. Plan with purpose. This is your recipe for success. Incorporate freezer meals into your weekly or monthly meal planning, considering your family's preferences, dietary restrictions, and choose recipes that align with those goals. Fedandfit.com has their searchable engine for recipes is fabulous because you can select things by dietary need and main ingredient, so on and so forth. Gather your trusted resources. Not all recipes are created equal. And so you need to find resources that you know the recipes are going to turn out good every single time. Craft your custom plan. Experiment with different protein and vegetable seasonings. Try different recipes, and then make note of the ones that really stood out to you and your family and the ones that didn't. Celebrate back to school bliss. Now that the kids are back in school, you're reestablishing routines. Don't forget to change up the conversation at the table. Don't ask them how school went today. Ask them what the most exciting part of their day was. Ask them if they had a superpower, what would it be? Create open-ended questions that get them opening up about what's going on. Maybe it's even a question of, what did you eat for lunch today? And who did you eat lunch with? That opens up a whole nother realm of conversation. Don't forget the most important part of this is connection. It's the time and breaking bread with your family because we've prepared the freezer meals to remove the stress and angst. You've got the prep out of the way. You've thrown your freezer meal into the oven, the air fryer, whatever, and now you have time to go through the mail. Maybe it's pick up around the house. Maybe it's helping your kids with homework while it's cooking so that you can take that deep breath and really just sit down and enjoy dinner with your family. By incorporating freezer meals into your culinary routine, you're not just simplifying dinner, you're also taking a step toward discovering your own secret sauce in the kitchen. With each meal that you prepare and try, you start to uncover what sparks joy in your own heart, what ignites your own creativity, and what fosters connections with your loved ones. I want you to remember that when you're choosing these meals, I want you to pick meals that you love, that light you up as well, not just to please your family. Because when we do that, we can show up as our best selves. So if you want to embark on this journey with more support than a podcast and a couple of websites, I am thrilled to let you know that you can work with me as your cooking coach and mealtime mentor and unlock a treasure trove of personalized strategies and really find what lights up your soul. So to learn more and take that step, visit my website at triciasbitesoflife.com and schedule your free Dish with Trish call. Together, we will embark on an adventure that nurtures your desires, simplifies your routine, and infuses your meal times with the magic that not only you deserve, but your family deserves. Thank you so much for joining me today for another episode of Mealtime Magic and Mayhem. I hope you stay inspired, take action, and until next time, May your meals be filled with wonder and your mealtime memories be sprinkled with joy. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, please go hit that follow button, subscribe, leave us a review. And if you're ready to change what mealtime looks like for you, breaking that cycle of chaos and having more fun in the kitchen, build some confidence and discover your love of cooking, schedule your free Dish with Trish call at the link in the show notes. We'll chat a few minutes and you'll walk away with personalized strategies to take your mealtime routine from tired to inspired. See you next time.